Dun 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 dun.
Chavrusa Daf.
The first 10 seconds of any video is super important. We're going to be sharing with you life-changing hacks, tricks, and tips. And one of that is there's a lot of distraction in the world. And the more you can say Hashem, no, I'm going to sit down, either myself, in a shir with a chavrusa, and learn your Heilige Torah. That is the secret to success.
That's right. And actually just today, my company sent out an email saying, what is something that you can say to new hires about how to manage time? And I said, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So put those focus blocks in your calendars, get what you need to do to get done, and learn how to say no.
Right. Growing up, we heard this term bittul zman. No one really talks about bittul zman anymore because
Bittel's mine. Because you always have something. You have your phone on you. It's like
a phone, like a phone, I could be productive, but like, you know how much bittul zman is in an iPhone?
I think it's one big Bittel's man, one might say.
One should say.
You have good apps. You have Zichru.
Yeah, there's zichru. Ooh, we should do zichru. Tell the island what zichru is.
Ooh, Zichru. Made by Avram Goldhar, the Goldhar method. He taught me in 6th grade. Great guy, loved him.
He's alive, right?
He's alive,
He's
right?
talking about him like he's dead.
No, he's well and alive, and Baruch Hashem still kicking. They have short videos to help you remember the daf.
Yeah, like mnemonics, right? Or it's
Right.
cute. It's like out of the box.
Help you remember like 3 important things on the daf. But
Amazing.
I think I'm excited to start Gittin. It's been a while. It's been since 8th grade. I feel like I did it again since 8th grade.
I don't think I don't know if I did, by the way. I did it in 8th grade as well in Chaim, Berlin. But I don't know if I've ever
You know what? Maybe I did
done it.
Wow. All right.
And also in 8th grade, I don't think you're learning Hamavi Gat.
I did it maybe again.
You did?
Yeah, I mean, the fun enough time.
Oh.
Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very
well,
enjoyable.
Yeah.
If for those watching, we do have an introduction to Gittin before this video on the Chavrusa Daf YouTube channel.
That's right.
And it's about 25-30 minutes or so, and we just went through Art Scroll's introduction, some stories, color commentary. We love comments. I know my brother Yitzi has been leaving comments.
Oh, so Yitzi's leaving comments, and our official Rav,
Yes.
Hamachshir of Chavrusa Daf is also, I mean, we call him out, but has he responded?
He has
yet?
not responded yet,
Okay.
but he will.
We will. Okay, great. Excited. Are you ready for
I am ready.
first parak?
And good luck to all those learning the daf for the first time. Good luck to those in the year 2030, 2031, somewhere around then, that are coming across this video. I wonder where we'll be then.
What about 2037, 2038?
No shot. YouTube's around then. It's over.
TikTok's taking over?
No. There's no such thing as digital anymore.
Oh, we're going to like, it's just in the air? Airwaves?
No, I think it's just a fad. It's a passing fad. We're done.
Well, there was audio, then there was video,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
there's paper.
No, yeah, we go back
Audio,
to paper.
back to paper.
Yeah.
Huh, okay. And you heard it here. Well, you won't be seeing this in 30 years, I guess. All right. Hamevi get. Memdinas hayam. So, if someone brings a get, okay, I'm sorry, I spoke too fast. We already spoke about in our introduction that a man can give a wife a get, but he could also instruct a shliach to give a get. So in this case, a man tells the shliach, here's the get, bring this to my wife. So now the Mishnah is starting up and saying, if the shliach is bringing the get to Eretz Yisrael from Medina Siyam, which is basically just another way of saying Chetz Aretz, Tzarch Sheimar, the shliach has to say, B'fanai nachta, b'fanai nachlam. In front of me, it was written, and in front of me, it was signed.
In the introduction, we didn't differentiate between Eretz Yisrael
No.
and abroad.
It was not brought up, so.
So off the bat, I'm like, why does it make a difference? Where, what, when?
Good question. Gemara's going to talk about it.
Okay.
Like, why does he have to say this? Or Gamliel says, Afa maybe min harekem min hachager. Not just if you bring it from Dina Sayam, even if you bring it from Rekem and Chagar, which are very close to Eretz Yisrael, they border Eretz Yisrael, so you can't say it's from across the sea, right? Dinas Hayam means literally means from the nations over the sea, right?
So he has to say, B'fanei nichtav, in front of me, it was written and signed.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's coming from Rekem and Chagar, which border Eretz Yisrael.
Hop and a skip.
Rabbi Eliezer, Aimer, Akfil Kfar Ludim Lud, even if someone brings it from Kfar Ludim to Lud, so Kfar Ludim and Lud were also right next to each other. But one of them was in Eretz Yisrael, and one of them was outside of Eretz Yisrael. So Rabbi Eliezer says that you have to still say Fanei Nachtav. Rechama say, Einai Tzarech Sheyemar, B'fanei Nachtam, Ella, person only say B'fanei Nachtam if Hamevi Medina Siyam, they bring it from Medina Siyam. Vehamelech, or someone's taking it to Medina Siyam. Vehamevi Medina Limedina Medina Siyam, or one brings it from one Medina to another Medina in Medina Siyam. So in those cases, Tzarech Shem or Fanei Nachtav. That's what we have to say. B'fanei Nachtav u'Fanei Nachtav.
So even if he's outside Eretz Yisrael, if he brings it from New York to Chicago, he still, according to the Chachamim, has to say, B'fanei Nachtam.
That's right. Or Gamliel, or Shimon ben Gamliel, Aimer, Afilu mehegmonia lehegmonia. Even if he brings it from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction. So what is that?
According to Rashi, on Dalet Amud Beis, it says the Mishnah refers to a single town in which two rulers exercised control over different districts and maintained a closed border between them. So, Korea, right? You have North Korea and South Korea, different rulers. Great, now we're going to get banned. Now we're going to get restricted on YouTube. Ooh, we got the snort, the first snort.
All right, it's time for a Skittles break. No, it's too early for that, right? Okay.
I have a question. It says the Chachamim say. Do you think the Chachamim were the Tanakam also, or potentially that's different? Right? Because usually...
So that is a great question. I don't know if you saw note 6.
I didn't.
Then I want you to read it.
The Gemara on Dalet Amud Beis will explain what the Chachamim statement adds to that of the Tanakam.
So, I don't know if that answers your question.
Right. Looks like they're different, right?
Who is who? It definitely looks like they're different. My first question was, I don't get it. The Tanakh said you have to say B'fanei Nachtam.
In one way.
Yeah, but then the Chachamim say you don't have to say B'fanei Nachtam, and except for the following cases. But one of them is Hamevi.
I think based off of the unwritten words here in the art scroll is the Tanakhama says you only have to say it if you bring it from abroad.
Right.
So Chachamim say even if you take it to abroad from Eretz Yisrael, you also have to say it.
I'm sniffing a chsur mechsur v'hachritani because it doesn't really read so well.
Right.
So let's. I guess we'll see.
And we were coming off Nazar, which didn't have Rashi, so it's kind of exciting to be. Not that the Rush was great.
Oh no, he was good.
It's good. It feels like an old friend.
I'm excited to have him back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I visit Rashi in my list of in Poland? No, I don't. Tell me your friends.
I have this official list that Ellie gave me tonight. It's officially like one of 4 copies or something.
Of?
And it's the Poland trip 2005. So it's all the places that he went. I see Gorshul. I see the Noam Elimelech. I see Sanz, Bobov, Krakow, the Ramashul.
Noam Elimelech is a relative of mine.
Right?
Because he was an uncle of some sort to...
I don't know, where's Rashi buried? I have no idea. France?
Great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Then the guy. Yeah.
Rashi traveled. Wasn't he in Germany at some point? Yeah. Worms. But I wasn't... I would
All right. Well, continue.
Okay, go ahead.
Yehuda Omer. So now we're going to define the borders of Eretz Yisrael. Yehuda Omer mi Rekem leMizrach. Any place from Rekem eastward Any place from Rechem eastward is called abroad. But Rechem, Kamizrachem, Rechem itself is like the area to the east in terms of Gittin law. Ashkelon, Ludarim, from any place from Ashkelon in south is called abroad. Ashkelon, Kedarim, and Ashkelon itself is considered outside of Eretz Yisrael. Akko, Litzafon, from any place Akko in north is called is outside of Eretz Yisrael. Akko, Litzafon. Remeir, Akko, Eretz Yisrael again. Akko is like Eretz Yisrael regarding Gittin. So again, Akko was one of those border towns. I went also with the yeshiva trip, River Center trip. We went to Shabbos in Akko. It's called Shabbos and Axe. It's a nice place in the north. Ashkelon. Did you ever go to Ashkelon? That's like actually not so south, right? I mean, they have like...
No, I have a cousin who owns a hotel up north near the Canada Center.
Oh, that's really north.
Yeah, it's right near Lebanon.
So I think that's even more north than Akko.
Metula.
Yeah, I went to Metul's.
So up until Reb Meir, all the areas that were mentioned were included in that direction. So Rechem, everything after Rechem is eastward. Oh, and Rechem's also considered eastward.
Yeah.
We don't consider part of Eretz Yisrael.
Right.
Ashkelon is south. Oh, and Ashkelon's part of this southward.
Yep.
And Akko, according to the Tanakhama, is also to the north, so it's not considered. Eretz Yisrael, Reb Meir says, hold up, and we'll explain on Vav Amid Beis. He says Akko is like Eretz Yisrael regarding Gittin.
Oh, right. Okay, a little geography lesson.
Yeah.
You know, on your first Amid. So if you like geography, this Masechta is for you.
Yeah, maps. Some people like maps.
Actually, Google Maps, I think, is my favorite app. Am I a nerd? Maybe.
So sorry.
I was actually asked that on an interview.
Oh, what?
At NBC. Did you work at NBC?
I did.
So I actually interviewed there once.
Yeah, but you said, I love maps, and they said, we don't want you.
Yeah, you didn't like that one. You thought it wasn't original. No.
So what'd you say? You like maps?
No,
Maps
so then
is They asked you for your favorite app, and you said Google Maps?
Yeah, I know. I wasn't expecting, usually, I read a bunch of like interview questions, that wasn't on there. But then I added something better, and I did get a second round, although I didn't get the final round. So I said, no, but I have an idea of of what I want to do to sell to Google Maps, to add as like a map layer. It's called Rain Route. I haven't copyrighted it, so please don't steal my idea. But basically, if I go in the city and it's raining, and imagine you could get from point A to point B with under as many awnings and what are those scaffolds as possible to like minimize the amount of wetness that your shirt will get from the rain, called Rain Route. So like add that until later in Google. So I mentioned that and he liked it.
You think the scaffolding is so temporary, but I read recently it's not.
It's so not. I worked in the city and like, yeah, it's there for a while. And yeah, users will, Can I have it?
Yeah. This is good? You've seen this before?
No, I've never seen it. I'm definitely gonna have it. Broke up having it from shopping as well.
You're strange.
Look at this. It's like 7 Skittles connected to each other. Right. So,
We didn't finish the Mishnah. We're almost finished the Mishnah.
finish it for us.
Another ruling. Hamevi get Eretz Yisrael. If one brings a get within Eretz Yisrael, Eina tzarech sheyemar. He's not required to say, V'ani nichtav, v'ani nechtam. V'im yesh. I thought that was Pasha, but okay. V'im yesh alav eirim. But if there are those that contest the authenticity of the get, Yiskayim b'chaismav. It should be confirmed through its signers, right? Every get, I believe, has 2 Edom. And you go to the signers and say, these other 2 people are contesting the validity of the get. Did this really take place? Or if the husband claims that the get was forged, they go to the signers and they say, is this authentic?
Okay, you gotta go find those people. You know, it says like Eli ben David. You gotta find where's Eli ben David live.
Right.
Oh, I know Yaakov ben David. You know, and you ask his brother. Okay.
So the Mishnah really takes up pretty much the majority, outside of a few words, of Beis Amid Aleph.
Yep. Are we ready to start the Gemara?
The Mishnah teaches that the sages decree that when a shliach delivers a get to Eretz Yisrael from abroad, he has to decree b'fanei nichtav, b'fanei nechtav. My timer. Go ahead.
Oh, great. I was honestly wondering this the whole time as the Mishnah was going. So why do we need you to say before nothing?
Do you know the reason?
I don't remember. I wish I did.
Do you think it's a deraisa or derabban?
Let's just see what the Gemara says.
I just want
I
to
don't embarrass myself here.
No, it's not embarrassing. It's you think that there's a word in the Torah that when we turn the daf, it's going to say that. I think it creates a little bit of interest amongst our 3 people watching.
Okay, what do I think? No. So am I going to be proven wrong right there?
I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to say that Torah says da-da-da, and that's why it has to be.
Okay. Rabba Amar. Rabba says, what's the reason why we have because people outside of Eretz Yisrael are not familiar with the requirement that a get has to be made for the sake of the woman. It has to be lishma. And this we did say in the introduction. Right, when a person writes a get for his wife, he has to have in mind for his wife, not for a different woman. The declaration is therefore necessary to make certain that this requirement was met. It's a way for the woman to know that this was done lishma, therefore is a kosher get.
Let me ask you a question. If I told you we're concerned a woman will be uncertain whether it refers to her, would the first suggestion you come up with is having the witnesses say it was signed and written before us? Or I'll leave it like at that. Is that what you would say?
Just say it was written for you.
Right. Or even more.
Here's your get, and I know that it was written lishma for you.
Right. It was written in front of me. And it's signed up. Great. But there's 3 Julie from Cedarhurst who live on my block.
Right.
That have the same name.
Yeah.
So, okay, great.
Right.
It was written and signed before you. But I'm concerned. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sent away. This is not, you can't don't play games with my heart.
Wow. So, I see note 1 in the second paragraph. It says, this requirement.
I see a pasuk. Could be something here.
I skipped the first paragraph.
No, but because it didn't look like it was derisive.
You're right, because it says, because of law safer creases, you have to write for her. Law for her is the lishma part. So, this requirement was not that well known outside of Eretz Yisrael to do lishma, where many people were ignorant of Torah law. Therefore, the rabbis decreed that an agent delivering a get Eretz Yisrael must observe its writing and signing, and then declare when he delivers it that he saw the get being written and signed. He can then be asked whether the get was written for the sake of the woman being divorced. The Gemara will later explain why the sage does not simply require the agent to declare that the get was written and signed lishma. Rashi learns your question. Wow. Ellie, you retained all that from 8th grade. Schmuck.
Or it was natural. It's Hold on.
Okay.
Never the wrong. You're an agent delivering a get. Okay, so he's asked subsequently, was it for her?
Yeah.
Go to the paragraph before in the parentheses at the end.
Yeah.
What's the Chassam Seider's question?
I don't.
He questions why the concern should be expressed specifically with regard to writing it for the woman, and now with the equally important requirement that it be written at the command of the husband.
Is that a requirement? It has to be at the command of the husband?
You can't force it.
You can't be forcing the husband. I
would imagine because that's a given, right? It can't be someone else writing it lishma.
Right. Lishma, part of lishma is that the husband is writing it.
Wasn't next door neighbor. That's not what we're dealing with.
Okay. Maybe. Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, so that was Rabbah. He
Rabbah.
says people are not familiar outside of Eretz Yisrael that it has to be written Lishma.
So we force the Adim to have to say b'fanei nachtam b'fanei nachtam, so that it helps us ensure that it was done properly.
That it wasn't like a copy and paste, or like what does
No,
that mean?
we're concerned that they wrote this get in Chutz La'aretz, but they didn't realize it had to be done Lishma.
As opposed to what? The writing?
They went to the store and got one off the shelf that had her name on it already. So no, the guy says, no, it was written inside before me. I saw. Oh, what? It was done Lishma? Yeah, it was done Lishma. Rav Amar, why do we have to say because Aiden aren't readily available to confirm the signatures. So, because these people are from so far away, they don't know who Eli, in Morocco. Hi, I'm a Jew from Morocco. Right? They don't know who Eli ben David is. So instead, we have the guy say, it was written inside before me. I know that these signatures are good.
Like it's an extra layer of validation.
Yep.
To squash any potential qualms or concerns as it relates to the signatures.
Yeah. Because basically, the people in Eretz Yisrael, you play Jewish geography, but at the end of the day, you're much better in your own country playing Jewish geography. Once you cross borders, how many taxi drivers ask if you know the cones from Brooklyn? And it's very hard. But, so anyways, when you bring that signature, they don't really know who it is coming from New York to Eretz Yisrael. So those are two good reasons why we should say,
I was going to wonder what the practical difference was between them, which is the next Gemara's question. Might be now you.
Really? Might be now, okay.
But according to Rav, he's worried about not having people available to validate it. According to Rabbah, it's about ignorance and the people not. So one difference would be if it's coming from a town in which they are known scholars. I'm just making up. So if they're known scholars, then you're not worried about ignorance. Another difference between them is you have technology and you think they're not readily available, you can just call them up. Or if there are caravans daily back and forth from those routes, whatever it is.
Right. Put it on your local WhatsApp group. Hey, does anybody know Eli ben David?
Yeah. AI.
King ChatGPT.
Right.
Okay.
It could be an AI.
So what is the difference? 3 cases. Dasui Beitrei. Okay, what about this case? 2 Eidim bring the get to Eretz Yisrael from Chutz La'aretz.
It's not Eidim as much as they're Shluchim.
I know. Did I make that up? Did I say the word Eidim?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wonder why I said that.
Because it does lead to that.
That's we're getting to. It's 2 Shluchim that are bringing this, and Rabbah requires them to make the declaration, whereas Rabbah does not. So you tell me why.
Because they're still ignorant. They're coming from a place of ignorance.
So maybe it wasn't done Lishma.
Right. So you have to, no matter how many people come, you guys have to validate that it was done.
And Rabbah?
Lishma. Rabbah says, oh, you're worried about Edom? That it's theirs? I have 2 Edom right here, testifying that those signatures are, in a regular case, the two signers are the Edom. Here, that it's theirs. They're believed to say it's their signature. Here, it's 2 Edom.
Okay. Inami, another case. Mimdina limdina be'eretz Yisrael, where the shliach delivered it from one Medina to another Medina in Eretz Yisrael. So I guess you get from the north to the south. In such a case, Rabbah considers the declaration unnecessary. Why? Because they're learned. It's all in Eretz Yisrael. But Rabbah requires it because there's not Ein Eidim and Suin and Kaimai. The people in Akko don't know the people in Ashkelon.
But Why does so Rava? Hold on, who was this? Rava requires it, but according to Rava, in this case, the Mishnah would say you don't have to say b'fanei nechtam. It's in Eretz Yisrael. So you're right; they're not readily available because they're in another province. But it's Eretz Yisrael. So why, in that case, would Rava require it?
You're just kind of asking, I guess it doesn't really work with any of our Tanaim.
Right. What's the reason when you deliver a get to Eretz Yisrael from abroad that you have to say b'fanei nechtam? My timer. Practical difference between them is when it's in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael?
Right, none of the Tanaim said Memdina Lamdina Be'eretz Yisrael. Oh, that's a really good question.
Right. Medina was Medina Sayyam in the Mishnah. It's a bomb trial. It's over.
Okay, Rav on the other hand, I'm looking at note 8. Rav on the other hand is concerned that the husband might challenge it. That's none?
Not for us.
Not for us, alright. Okay, so it does.
Oh, the end of 8, the last sentence. Rashi addresses it.
Consequently, even in Eretz Yisrael, if the towns are in different provinces, Rava would require the declaration. I get that, and that's what you're saying, but what Tana in our Mishnah does that go like?
It doesn't, but he's being machmer.
I feel like that's still a good question. Right?
I agree.
Okay.
A lot of the questions I ask when I'm on the ball are on the ball.
Awesome. Maybe we'll discuss this.
Ooh, maybe we'll have Avi do it at the
Yep, Avi.
26-minute mark.
Thank you, Avi.
Yitzi, tag him.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, Yitzi should tag Avi.
I know.
What about Yaakov? Does Yaakov have anything to do with this?
Competition. There's another YouTube channel.
Oh, he does. He has his own. Ooh, I have 200,000 subscribers.
Take him down.
Yeah. All right. So
Inami.
what's the third one? Yeah, go for it.
Va'is Medina Sayyam. Where an agent, a shliach, delivers a get between towns that were within the same province abroad. Rabba then requires the agent to make a declaration.
Because there's
We need to make sure it's Lishma.
Lishma.
Rava says, what do you mean? I'll just go ask the signers. You don't have to make the declaration.
Right.
Beautiful. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Rabba. Now, according to Rabba, we're going to ask a question of Rabba. According to Rabba, the Amr Lafish ain't bikin lishma, that the reason why you have to say when you bring a get from Chutz to Eretz Yisrael is because you don't have people who are baki in the halacha of lishma, that it has to be written for the sake of the woman. Liboitre, you should always need to have two eidim. Midid hava kol Torah. Just like all other cases of idios in the Torah, of all cases of testimony, you need two eidim. Here's a case of testimony. Two witnesses are required.
Why is there only a question on Rabba and not Rava?
Maybe then I didn't fully understand the question, but I think it's because if right now this shliach that is saying Fanatam, he's coming to tell you, he's not just a shliach anymore, he's actually testifying that this get was written correctly. So again, there's one thing for me to do something for you, but then there's another thing, I'm essentially testifying that it was written as such. Versus Rava, the aide isn't coming to testify in anything. He's just saying, look, here are signatures. Here are signatures. And by the way, I know that these are their signatures. I honestly, as I'm saying, I feel like it is a question.
They're both forms of testimony.
Right. This shliach is still testifying that these signatures are valid. One is testifying that it was done l'shma. One is testifying that these. Okay, maybe it's gonna say I or Rava.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Give a little bit off.
You have a kiyum shtar dama. Yep. This guy is on a ball. Look at him. He finishes Nazir. Then just walks into Gittin and just bulldozes the place.
Oh, should be mechazik here at the beginning.
Look at that. That's what happens when you finish one Masechta. Am I asking the questions? No, because I only did like 70%. This guy did 100%.
Still very good.
It's good. But what I'm saying is you see the difference. See the difference.
I can't argue.
See the difference. All right, so that's a good question. Again, it's going to be a question going to Rabba, but also to Rabba, so let's focus with him.
It could be that the Gemara didn't ask Rabba and Rabba because at the same time, because it offshoots into unique characteristics of what Rabba said.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Sakta Gemara, and it also could be that like this answer wouldn't fit the answer. Rabba said,
Right.
Eid Echad Neman B'Yisurin. Ooh, this is a sugya.
What's that like? It's like Eidach Neman B'Surin is like a top 20, top 30.
Probably top 30, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But what's the list? It's called like
Sugyas?
like yeshiva sugyas.
Yeah.
Like if you walked over to anyone who went to yeshiva, high school, base medrash,
there's a high likelihood that they give a chabur and Eidach and B'Yisurin.
or that they've may not remember what it means, but like they've heard about it before.
Oh, it's a good catchphrase.
Yeah, you can't go through 7th grade to 4th year base medrash
without
coming across Eidach and B'Yisurin.
Yeah, I think that's a classic.
Is that right? It's right?
Okay.
You and Naftali Baum used to learn with Ishmak. You went to Yeshiva?
No, I was in Darchai. 15 years of my life. Kindergarten through first year base medrash, and then I went to Rabbi Center for 3 years.
So you didn't know Yaakov from before?
Nope. Didn't know that guy.
Same age? Right.
Yaakov is 3 years younger than me.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. You guys were the same.
Nope.
So you were married when he was there? Or no?
When I was in... Oh, wait. He's 2 years younger than me. Sorry, take it back. He's 2 years younger than me. So when I was in 3rd year, he was in 1st year. Okay. And then when I was in 4th year, he was in 2nd year.
What was your first year in Eretz Yisrael? 2001. 2001.
2009. Elul, it's 2009.
So I left in 07, I think.
Yeah, because 2 years younger than me. Okay. So, and for the Gemara, now, because a single witness is believed with regard to isurin, with regard to prohibitions, okay? The term isurin refers to those Torah laws that deal with questions of permissible or forbidden status, as opposed to questions of monetary or criminal law. So, since the agent's testimony pertains to a prohibition, it's isurin, it's issur between a man and a wife, the testimony of a single witness is acceptable.
What are other examples of isurin? Like if I say, or if Reuven says, I saw my wife secluding with a man, so she's, and I warned her, she's usher to me. Like, is that?
That's isurin.
That's isurin.
I think I see it brings here the verse, is learned from a pasuk. The verse in Vayikra states that if a woman had been a zaba, she must undergo a certain procedure before being permitted to resume married life with her husband. Mm-hmm. And it says, V'safra la, it's Isa Indian, because we're in Sphere right now. V'safra la, and she can count for herself, Shivas yamin v'achar titar. She counts for V'safra la, she counts for herself. And afterwards she's clean. So it teaches you she can count them herself. And she's believed the count because, and this is where you learn, that a single witness is believed with regards to Isurin.
It's not just Yisurim, but also like she's also making herself permissible. Like we believe her in terms of
That's
when
what it is. The thing it's all Isser. It's not
right.
criminal or monetary law.
Right.
It's God said you have to be married or whatever. You can't.
But it's not just about herself. Like the case of Zava, she's the one.
It's impacting others, is what you're saying. The
Right,
Isurin is also impacting others, but also here by get, by this person,
Like
by believing them. First of all, it's impacting the husband, the wife, and then anyone the wife marries.
Right, interesting. Where one person's enough. Where does this idea of two Edom come from anyway?
Very good question. We're definitely going to bring that pasuk in. You want to know what the psukim of?
It's a pasuk, right?
Al pi shnei Edom yakum davar is the pasuk.
Okay.
That you need two Edom in order to. Oh yeah, I see it here. Al pi shnei Edom yakum davar.
I saw recently a woman with two heads. She got married or something, I'm not sure, but I wonder if that would be considered two people.
Two Edom? There is a woman. Fine, but still, that's interesting. What defines a person? The head?
So when it says Al pi shnaim yakum davar, it's not referring to Isur. That's interesting.
Right.
And that answers why, in this case, the Rabbah allows it. So, would that answer, if we had the same question on Rava without looking, would that answer the question? Rava, who says that witnesses are not readily available in Eretz Yisrael to confirm the signatures, to avoid complications, the Rabbanan ordained that the Shliach must confirm the signatures when he delivers the get.
I don't know. It's also Isser. The same thing where the whole thing is permitting this woman now to the rest of the world. She's no longer bound to her husband, unless you want to add.
No, it's Isurin for the sake of the woman. That was Rabbah. It was about the women. Signatures are legalities.
Legality.
Now you're right. It does lead to Isurin, but the crux of the Eidos is, or the AIDS confirmation is from a legal perspective. It's on the signatures.
All right.
So I don't know necessarily that Eid and Bisurin would match. That's for sure in a shir somewhere, like a good 10th grade. It's like you know who would make that? You know who would make that like Chakira? Like Rabbeinu Hananel. You know, like one of those that like go deep.
I don't know. I forget like the intricacies of the different. Like I can't say like. Oh, it sounds like a ritva, you know.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Enough.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, so now says the Gemara. Hey, you can't say this because why? When do we say that an eidach doesn't eman b'isurin? Kagan chaticha. You have, let's say, a piece of fat. Safek shel chelev, safek shel shuman. You have one piece of fat, and there's a safek. Is it chelev, which is forbidden fat of an animal, or shel shuman, which is stam, a piece of permitted fat? In such a case, there hasn't been established isser with regard to this piece because it's a safek. Therefore, when you have an eid echad, it's enough to establish if he says that it's not asar. This is shuman, it's mutter. We believe him in that case because it was never established that this is asar. There's always a safek. Does that make sense? But here, this woman, right? It's a question of a get's validity. So she until now has a chazaka that she's always been a married woman. So she has a cheskas ishes. It's been established this iser. And therefore this is a matter concerning erva. And now once this is erva, you can't have erva be resolved by less than 2 witnesses. So I actually remember this in yeshiva. I feel like I did a chabura for this. It reads funny because it first starts saying the whole thing is that it's not a chazaka. Okay, so finish the statement and say, oh, but this woman, she's a cheskas eshesesh, and therefore you need 2 edim. But it doesn't say that. It says, first it says she has a chazaka. Oh, heavy davar sheva erva, and this is a matter that's concerning erva. A matter that concerns erva cannot be resolved by less than 2. So therefore, we're going to back to our question of why does 1 aid help if this is a din of davar sheba erva?
Meaning the fact that she has a chazaka, why is it not the same thing? The fact that she has a chazaka shows that this is...
It bumps up the necessity of 1 aid to 2 aid. Anytime you have chazaka, it goes 1, now you need 2.
So when we say irachadem bisurin, that's when there's no chazaka.
Right.
But when you have a chazaka of the isser, then it requires 2 edim.
Right.
Let's look at note 18 a quick second.
Yeah,
How do you know that you need 2 witnesses by case of erva? There's a gzeir shava linking the halachas concerning erva with those concerning monetary matters. In the case of erva, the Torah says, because he has found in her a matter of erva. In regard to monetary matters, the Torah states, mouth of 2 witnesses shall the matter be established. The Gemara in Slate derives from the use of the word davar in both instances, the gzeir shava, that teaches that just as we require the testimony of 2 witnesses to establish something in a monetary case, so too we require the testimony of 2 witnesses in the case concerning erva. By the way, the case of that forbidden fact, or let's say a pot, right? If you have a pot that you're not sure if it's forbidden or permitted, and 1 aid comes along and says it's permitted, you say, okay, fine. It's never had a chazak of isser. But if you have a pot that was in a state of isser, and someone comes along and says, yes, I saw someone toivel it, whatever the process is, that would not work because you're bringing it into a state of heter. So here, in this case, you wanted to say that according to Rabbah, the reason why 1 person is sufficient, because Eidach Hanem Bisurin cannot apply in this case because she has a cheskas eshes ish and an isser, and you need shtei edim. So the question comes back even stronger than it did initially, because now we know shteit in Torah that this particular case actually needs 2 witnesses. And for the Gemara Rabbi Yomi.
Okay. So Roiv Bikinin. No, really, most people are Baki. They know the halacha that a get has to be written lishma.
So Roiv is stronger than a cheskas eshes.
Whoa! We just pulled that out. Ruba v'chazaka. Ruba adef. Oh, what a guy! Wow.
It's here.
I mean, you just said that is it.
No, I haven't heard that term in 17 years.
Okay. So, we have a roiv that people know the din of Lishma. So, what could you therefore assume? You assume that whoever wrote it and did it Lishma. He knew, the cipher knew to write it Lishma. Now, so now what? So where are we up to?
Oh, my brother Yitzi's coming for Shabbos.
Oh yeah?
Should I make the siyum this Shabbos?
Do it. Yeah, why wait? Okay, so let's continue here. Right bikini. Seems like we didn't answer the question. We gotta continue reading, says Article. Okay? The Gemara is interrupting us right now to deflect a possible objection. Even according to Meir, who's concerned for the miyut. Maybe this get was written by that one sefer that doesn't know the halacha l'shma. No, stam sifri the daini migmar gemiri. Stam seifrim, right? They know that it has to be written l'shma. So even Rameir agrees that according to under midaraisa, we don't have to confirm the validity of the get because
in this case, there's no minority. In essence, is what he's saying.
right.
I'm usually worried about the minority, and it talks about the Gemara in Yomi where it brings out Rameir's concern, or still worried about the minority. Here, even that minority that you think are not familiar, in this case, these ordinary court scribes are knowledgeable that the requirement of the get, right? No one could, it needs to be in a certain ksav or whatnot. So there's a certain amount of scribes, and even those that are plain and simple scribes, they know it has to be lishma.
Right, because it's a miyut of the miyuta. Basically, it's such a miyut that
I don't even know if there's any miyut, meaning like it's common knowledge.
Yeah,
A minority is a minority, even if one person. He's saying there's no scribe in the world who doesn't know it can't be lishma. It doesn't have to be lishma.
Oh, so Rabbanan. So therefore, we just wanted to say, so Reb Bikinin, so back to the fact that everyone knows this halacha. So now, why do we believe this one shliach? Rabbanan hu de'itzrech. The Rabbanan, so really though, everyone is Baki. So then why have they, so don't say it at all? Why have they say in front of them? Just assume. No. The Rabbanan required us to still have the shliach testify, and actually testify, it is an edus, about this get that is written in Lishma. But hacha mishum iguna. Why are we making him do this? Because we're worried the risk that the woman will be left as an aguna. So akil barabanan, the Rabbanan acted with leniency towards her, saying that only one aid is necessary. Otherwise, it might come to cases of iguna. And
how does Roiv help? We said Roiv Biki and Hain.
Yep. It makes it that you don't really need. Can we see note 23 actually?
Meaning the question was, why do we allow one person in this case?
Mm-hmm.
Should need two.
Right.
It's
the davar sheba'erva.
Yeah, it's a davar sheba'erva. You should need two. Oh, because we're concerned about lishma, and
because Roy Biki and Hain.
And most people know. Okay, so still, most people know that's great. You still need two Aiden.
Why? If you have a rive, then you don't need it.
So I guess, okay, fine. So you have a rive, and that's better than a chazaka, fine. And now the Gemara is saying, so if you, like you said, if I'm just speaking it out, if you the Rabbanan, so why do you have to actually say it? If most people know, don't say it.
Midaraisa, you don't need any edus because we have a rive.
Right.
Now, the Rabbanon came along and said that we still have to say this because they are worried. I think we should just see note 23.
Okay.
Let's bring the whole Bavaran over here. 23. So it says, Rabbanon hu Israel. That is, the testimony of a single agent is believed because in biblical law, midaraisa, the edus is not needed at all. Nevertheless, the Rabbanon instituted the declaration because they were concerned about the remote possibility that the husband might have found a discarded get written for another couple with the same names as him and his wife. In such a case, the get would be void on the grounds that it was not made for the sake of the woman being divorced with it, right? Not Shema. To safeguard against the use of such a get, as well as the remote possibility that the get was written by a scribe who was unfamiliar with the Lishma requirement, the Rabbanan decreed that whenever a get is delivered from abroad, the agent must testify that it was written specifically for the woman receiving it. So, I feel like what it's basically saying is, you're right, Midaraisa, we view Rav, but the Rabbanan were still worried. The Rabbanan are still worried that someone doesn't know Lishma and he's going to just get a get from the garbage. Right? Because even though Seifrim know this halacha, the husband is going to find the get in the garbage and he's going to do it. And therefore, you really, Therefore, you should need 2 Eidim. You should need 2. So basically, you're right. Midaraisa, we don't need any. But the Rabbanan came along and said, no, you still need it because we're worried that the husband's just going to grab a get from the garbage. It's not going to be Lishma. Therefore, you should really need 2 Eidim to come and say that it was written Lishma, or 2 Eidim to say that, Fanach Vanachim. So why 1? So that's where the Gemara answers, because Biguna, the Rabbanan were the ones already to come and say you have to say this. And now they're going to be the ones to say that they're Mekel. You're right. We require someone to basically say that it was written Lishma, but we don't require 2. So they're making a special case here. And by requiring evidence that the get was written Lishma, the rabbis were raising the possibility that if a woman receives a get from abroad and she cannot prove that it was written Lishma, she should be left in Aguna. So now 2, to minimize, and we'll end with this, to minimize the chances of women being left agunas as a result of their decree, the rabbis adopted a more lenient standard of confirmation. They stipulated that the declaration of the agent delivering the get would constitute confirmation even though he is just a single witness. This increased the chances of her becoming an aguna only slightly, since in any case it is necessary for the husband to have at least 1 agent deliver the get. The only burden added by the decree is to require the agent to witness the writing and the signing of the get. Had the rabbis, however, required the testimony of 2 witnesses to confirm that the get was made lishma, this would have made it far more difficult to send the get, since it might not always be possible to find 2 people traveling together willing to deliver a get.
It's interesting that he's abroad. Like, why is he not with his wife? I guess traveling or whatnot was much more.
Well, first of all, they're probably separated at this point.
Shkoyach.